Hello. So I made a quick video last night on my mobile phone, but couldn't upload it to YouTube. I didn't have access to this computer. So I'm gonna really kind of have to rehash a couple of things that I said then, but obviously it won't be the same. And you'll see why. So I had my appointment with Catherine Milroy today, to discuss my surgery and all of that stuff really. And last night I was incredibly nervous. I was so horribly nervous. All of my fears about the actual surgery were so present in my emotions that you'd have thought was about to have the surgery at 9 o'clock the very next morning. Stuff like, oh, I might die on the operating table, or I might wake up and feel all of the sort of incisions but not be able to move, and stuff like that. So what I did is I got up and I made a video, and just kind of, it's terrible quality, but it's there, and I'm gonna upload that at some point. I'm gonna make like a short film actually, sort of showing what happens with my surgery process, rather than doing it as a series of long video blogs that are going into great detail. I'm kind of going to do it day by day, for a little bit. So what I decided to do this morning on my way to the appointment was, well, no, last night I decided to print off a whole load of pictures from the internet of, surgeries that I liked, surgeries that I didn't like, techniques that I liked, and stuff like that, and sort of like to get a handle on what I wanted, nipple placement, things like that. And I explained to her that I wanted a pedicle technique, which is basically they don't take the nipple off and regraft it on. They keep the nipple attached to skin, like sort of subdermal skin that has blood vessels, in order to keep a blood supply, so that they can just poke the nipple back through a hole, or close a hole around the nipple, rather than taking it off and putting it back on, which is the difference between the pedicle and the graft techniques. So, as some of you know, I was looking at the T or anchor technique, and when I showed a few of these to her, she was like, okay, I see your reasoning, but I can do better than this. Um, she proposed a few different techniques to me, kind of ones where she goes around the nipple and then just up like that, which I didn't really like so much. Other ones where it would have just been bilateral. Other ones where, like she proposed all kinds of things to me. She proposed me getting peri with a later revision, which I kind of want the surgery done in one. And in the end, after we talked and talked and talked, and she kind of figured out how healthy I am, that I don't smoke, I don't drink, anything like that, we kind of agreed on a technique which is quite risky for most people when it comes to nipple sensation and nipple retention, because it involves quite a long pedicle. It involves a pedicle that goes from just under the arm all the way out to sort of there where the nipple is going to be. So that's a good 3 or 4 inch pedicle, kind of to retain blood supply to the nipple. So, and it has to be very thin as well, because we're flattening everything down. And I'll kind of show you what it is that we're talking about. So this kind of leaf-shaped incision, if you can imagine that if there was a breast there, so there's the breast. That's terrible, but yeah, so there's a breast, and it goes in behind the breast along the pectoral line, and then over the top of it, and it cuts out like a section, if you can imagine, snipping through it and then taking away that skin. And as you open that up, you'll reveal all of the sort of subcutaneous connective tissue with the blood vessels and stuff like that the nipple is attached to, and you leave a strip of that attached, and you take out all of the breast tissue, and then you close this, get the angle right, you close this incision, you make a hole further up where you want the nipple to go, you close this incision and then pull the nipple through this hole and sort of stitch up or staple up around that. So that's kind of how it works. There's another kind of example just showing you a little bit how all that works and where things will end up. And then the scar pattern that I would be left with is, if you can see the quite dark black lines around here, sort of just coming under there and under there, kind of very much remaining, kind of not so much across the entire chest as you see a lot of people with bilateral lines like this, but coming down from the underarm and down like that, just following the pectoral line, and then around the nipples. And that would be the only scarring that I would have. And when I spoke to her about it and asked what the chances are of a very successful operation with, you know, good nipple sensation, nipple retention, good shape and decent scarring and no complications, she said that she thought there was 85% chance of everything going well. So that's really good, and my fears have really been put to bed on that. As far as when that's going to be happening, there's a couple of options. If I'm put forward for they're doing some kind of a scheme that involves taking people that would be sort of low priority and taking them through a back door into a private hospital and doing it there before Christmas. So it could either be in a private hospital locally before Christmas, NHS funded, or it would be after Christmas but before February in St George's Hospital. So I'm not entirely sure which one, but either way it's going to be quite short notice, I think. So yeah, that's it now. It's just a question of waiting for surgery. Obviously I'm still quite nervous, but after speaking to her I do feel a lot more confident now. I realise I've spoken a lot about physical transition today, and really that's kind of where I'm at. Because that's how I've spent my day. I went into medical photography and they took some incredibly sharp photographs of my torso on all angles, and that was really interesting. So yeah, if there's anything else that I want to update about, I'm sure I'll make another video, but for now it was very much about the physical, and that's just where I am in my mind at the moment. So bye.